Robert E. Lee by Chris and Josh. Robert E. Lee was born in Virginia's Westmoreland County on January 19, 1807, the third son of Henry Lighthorse Harry and Anne Hill Carter Lee. Declining fortunes forced the family's removal to Alexandria, where Robert distinguished himself in local schools. His father's death in 1811 increased responsibilities on all the sons. Robert especially cared for his invalid mother.
Lee graduated number 2 in his class from the U.S. Military Academy in 1829. Commissioned a brevet lieutenant of engineers, he spent a few years at Fort Pulaski, Georgia, and Fort Monroe, Virginia. At Fort Monroe on January 30, 1831, he married Mary Ann Randolph Custis. The Lees had 7 children. Lee worked in the chief engineer's office in Washington, D.C. from 1834 to 1837. He was transferred to Fort Hamilton, New York, where he remained until talk of secession in the South grew strident during Lee's Texas sojourn. No secessionist, he was loyal to the Union and the U.S. Army, yet he had doubts about his loyalties if Virginia departed the Union. Ties of blood bound him to the South.
In August 1846, Lee joined General John E. Wool's army in Texas. In the Battle of Buena Vista, Lee's boldness drew his superior's attention. Transferred to General Winfield Scott Veracruz expedition in the Battle of Veracruz, and in advance of Mexico, he won additional acclaim. Following an American occupation of the Mexican capital, he worked on maps for possible future campaigns. Already a captain in the regular service, he was made a brevet colonel for his gallantry in the war.
Lee returned to engineer duty at Baltimore's Fort Carroll until 1852, when he reluctantly became superintendent of the military academy at West Point. In 1855, he was made lieutenant colonel of the 2nd Cavalry, one of the Army's elite units.
The years 1857 and 1859 were bleak. Lee had to take several furloughs to deal with the family business and seriously thought of resigning his commission. However, in 1859, he and his men successfully put down John Brown's insurrection at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, later in West Virginia. In 1860, he became commander of the Department of Texas.
Lee accepted a commission as colonel of the 1st U.S. Cavalry in March 1861, but offered command of the entire U.S. Army a month later. He hesitated. If he accepted, he might have to lead the Federal Army against southern states, and if Virginia seceded, he might have to lead troops across its borders. He could do neither. So, painfully, he resigned his Army commission in April 1861.
When Johnston was wounded in May 1862, Davis gave Lee command of Johnston's army. Lee renamed his force of the Army of Northern Virginia. The new commander looked the part, 5 feet 10 and a half inches tall, robust at 170 pounds. Lee had graceful, almost classic features. He attracted men and women alike, was easy in manner, courteous and kind as a friend, and was a loving husband and father.
Though Lee's was the largest Confederate army in the field, it was outnumbered almost 3-2 by McClellan's Federal Army of the Potomac, which was preparing for siege operations on Richmond. While Lee struggled to fortify Richmond, he and Jackson played a daring campaign, which Stonewall executed brilliantly and victoriously in the battles of Cross Keys and Port Republic, June 8. Lee won many victories, but was pushed out of the Union at the battles of Antietam and Gettysburg. On January 31, 1865, he was given command of all the Confederate armies, but it was too late. He was surrounded, and he surrendered on April 9, 1865, to General Ulysses S. Grant. Okay. Special thanks to Josh Call, Chris Beaton, and the library. Bye.